I think a pretty easy winner in my mind in this class. I think he's the combination that puts together the balance that I like and is attractive, and yet he offers probably as much muscle shape as anything in class. One that's square in his top line. He gets wider as he goes back. He's neat and attractive in his look. He's good on his feet and legs. Thought he was a relatively easy place to start. He gets a little closer between second and third, and I see this one in second, just a notch stouter. He's more descriptive in his muscle shape. He's square behind the blade, and he certainly offers more description of muscle when you work back to the top side of his skeleton, and I think he's wider set through his pins. He's one that gets a little weaker in his top. He's a little bit coarser up through the front end of his shoulder there. But one to me that I think he just follows along in terms of width and mass. Whether the cape-fronted weather that comes in behind him, that one's extra long-bodied and extra level. He's correct out in terms of his hip. He's good on his feet and legs. That one's just a little bit more vanilla or nondescript in his muscle shape for me. I think if you can change him there and give him more pop and expression, he makes that second and third pair just a little bit closer. Fourth place weather is stout at the ground. He's heavy structured. He's wide bodied. If that one, you just change him out of his hip and hind leg, and that's what you can go. Give him more flex, more width there, and change him. I think he certainly might find a spot or two higher. The weather that comes in fifth is one that's long-bodied and attractive. There's just not enough to that goat in terms of product and dimension to compete with the ones above him. Congratulations, these exhibitors.
Congratulations to Class 15. In 7th place was Joshua Gentry from the Southeast Whitfield FFA. In 6th place was Lindley Roundtree from Screven 4-H. In 5th place was Lily Standridge from Habersham 4-H. In 4th place was Catherine Wright from Franklin at 4-H. In 3rd place was Noah Braswell from Madison County Middle FFA. In 2nd place was Lena Steinkamp from Oconee 4-H. And in 1st place was Mary Elizabeth Parks from Clear Creek Middle FFA. Entering the ring now is the Division III Championship Drive. From Class 11, we have Brooke Williams from Gordon 4-H. From Class 12, we have Raylan Bozeman from Worth County High FFA. From Class 13, we have Braden Kraft from Hart 4-H. From Class 15, we have Mary Elizabeth Parks from Clear Creek FFA Middle School. Did I say I was 14? And from Class 14, Hayden Phillips from TIF 4-H.
Let's congratulate these exhibitors here in the ring in our third division. Really a deep set. I think that a lot of quality out here, and I think that there's certainly some mix and match, maybe in types and kind, but I'm very pleased with what we have. And I think it comes down really, it's a selection. I think there's 3 or 4 that really come into contention for champion in reserve. Some firsts and seconds both, and I think that it makes it really close. I guess the one that the 2 that I choose to tie to, I think are really unique in terms of their build. Ones that are really open in the center of their body. They're neat in terms of their width and their mass. They're good on their feet and legs. I think our champion is just so much really unique in terms of his having so much power and still good in terms of his shoulder, ways laid in. Just an awful neat weather. If you help me congratulate these winners here. Our champion is going to be this young lady that comes out of our second class. Congratulations to her. Reserve's going to be the young lady that comes out of our fourth class. Congratulations to her.
Congratulations to your Division III champion, Raylan Bozeman from Worth County High FFA, and to your reserve champion, Hayden Phillips from Tift 4-H. Entering the ring now is Class 16.
Nice pair of weathers here in this class, and I see these two really differing in type. Young ladies' weather I choose to lead off with, there's just more stoutness, more substance to that one. Just when you study him from the ground up, he's wider, he's coming and going. He certainly offers an advantage in terms of rib shape and one that's bolder and square over his rack. I like his elevation. I like his levelness. He's really neat out through the top of his hip, where that offers a tremendous amount of muscle and shape, and still balance is plenty good from the side. Whether that comes in to be second is stout at the ground. I like that one in terms of his feet and legs. He gets them out on the corners and sets them wide, and probably does that maybe a nickel's worth better than as our class winner. He's one that's really neat and long-bodied and level in top of his top line as well. Just when you study him down in terms of his forerib, he just wants to get a little narrower gauge from that standpoint. He's just not as explosive in terms of his muscle shape and dimension as we see that class-winning weather. Weather that I like next is one that's rugged in his design. He's tremendously big-footed. He's stout-boned. He's stout-featured. You really have to appreciate that about him. That weather is good in terms of his muscle shape as well. He one to me gets a little bit coarser and rough out there at the point of his shoulders. He's not as extended maybe through his neck, maybe a tick looser heighted than what it deemed to be ideal. The Cape-fronted weather is one that you appreciate in terms of his carcass merit and his handling qualities. Tremendously wide and thick and expressive all the way through. Weather's long-bodied, got some turn to the center of his skeleton. That weather needs to be better on his feet and legs. He gets a little bit out, turns out up front. He wants to get outside of himself at times in terms of his hock placement as he goes away. Weather that comes in next is one that's really thick and wide. In terms of his muscle shape, that weather to me needs to be a little bit better in terms of his balance. He's a little shorter necked, a little rounder fronted, a little bit shorter in terms of length of skeleton as well. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Congratulations, Class 16. Placing 10th was Henry Throne from Oglethorpe 4-H. Placing 9th was Dawson Langford from Brantley 4-H. Placing 8th was Gracie Benato from Northside Middle FFA. Placing 7th was Dixon Cattle from Washington Wilkes FFA. Placing 6th was Dusty Dockery from White County High FFA. Placing 5th was Avery Adams from Hart County Middle FFA. Placing 4th was Tyler Hardman from Hart County Middle FFA. Placing 3rd was Jordan Pritchett from Banks 4-H. Placing 2nd was Hayden Phillips from Tiff 4-H. And placing 1st was Victoria Wright from Franklin 4-H. Congratulations, Class 16. In the ring now is Class 17. The Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation First Annual GJLF Yearbook will feature individual students, champions, showmanship champions, and more. Students need to wear their official show attire if they would like their picture taken. If you would like your picture taken, report to the large white tent on the outside of the Beef and Dairy Arena.
tremendously high quality class, and we get into these top three, and probably by far one of the toughest decisions that we've had to this point. And if a person enjoys judging livestock and getting to see quality, this class should be for you, because I think as not just these three, but there's several on down the line that are awful good. I'll be honest with you, when I come out here and I look at these initial three, I think my decision lied between second and third, because I thought the one that won in my mind did it comfortably. That one is really unique in terms of his build and the way he comes together. He's just freakish in terms of muscle shape down his top. He's explosive over his blade and behind, and just works out into a great big hip. He's set so wide through his pins. There's a neat turn to the center of his skeleton. Yet he's really neat and exotic up through that front end. He's long-bodied and got a tremendous amount of shape. Just handles extremely well. Good on his feet and legs. I really like that one quite a bit. The one that comes into second, I think this second and third place are really close, and I see that pair really differing in type and in kind. The second place whether to me, just when you study him and you get down on top of him, he's a notch bolder to that forerib for me. He's one that's a little bit more impressive over his rack shape, in terms of rack shape. As he goes back to their loin edge, I think they're comparable there. I just think that one for me gets a little bit bolder, a little rounder through his rib. He's a little stouter as he goes to the ground in terms of width. Now, with that being said, I may want to change him just a nickel's worth on his back legs. And at times when I watched him go, I'd like to fix him there just a little bit. He wanted to kind of get close at the ground and outside of himself. But that's been critical of one that's awful good. The one that's here in third is another one that's just freakish in terms of his design and his elevation up through the front end. He's extended, he's level, and you're really neat from that standpoint. Whether it's got good shape of muscle all the way through. So when I study him down through his chest floor and the lower part of his rib, I think he gives up a little bit there. I don't think he's just quite as bold and open all the way through, but one is exotic in terms of his balance and his look. Awful good weather to stand in third place. This roan color weather here is not one that you shake your head at either. He ran up in front of 3 stud horses today, and you know, it's a shame that one like this has to stand fourth. That one's got a tremendous amount of shape and muscle in him. He's long-bodied. He's one that's good in terms of his bone. That one doesn't disappoint you in terms of balance as well. He just is not as stout. He's not as open. I don't see that wow factor in him, maybe as I've seen in the 3 that go out ahead of him. But that's an awful complete weather there. He just is maybe not as stout to the center of his skeleton. He maybe not as neat in terms of his attractiveness, in terms of balance there, as we see those ones ahead of him. The one that comes in next is expressive in terms of shape and muscle, and I like his progression of width from front to rear. Whether that's big-footed and heavy bone, that weather to me gets a little bit flatter through his forerib. He gets a little rounder out through his shoulder and deeper in his chest. Really good class. Congratulations to these kids.
Congratulations to Class 17. Placing 10th in Class 17 was Bailey Tatum from Colquitt County FFA. Placing 9th was Michaela Armour from White County High FFA. Placing 8th was Lola Talton from Monroe 4-H. Placing 7th was Reagan Reynolds from Oconee 4-H. Placing 6th was Dylan Adams from Coffee Middle FFA. Placing 5th was Callie Ollis from Madison County FFA. Placing 4th was Abby Brown from Madison County FFA. Placing 3rd was Shelby Stevenson from Pickens County FFA. Placing 2nd was Cheyenne Norton from Grady 4-H. And your class winner was Tanner Norton from Grady 4-H. Entering the ring now is Class 18.
another tremendously high quality class, and I think kind of like the last class, I think one that just really sticks out to me and sorts himself to the top. That one of those guys that looks like a show steer in terms of his build, and he's stout at the ground, he's heavy structured. And you get on top of that one, he is just massive in terms of shape and muscle over his top. Has a neat turn to the center of his skeleton in terms of rib, and he's wider as he goes back. It's one that still balances, really unique. I think just an awful good one to lead off our class. Second place, the one that I like that one in terms of shape of muscle as well. That one's bold to the center of his body. That one's made neat and he's attractive up through his shoulder. He's not as near as good out through the top of his hip. He's not as square there. He doesn't go away quite as neat as we see that one that led off our class. Whether that comes in behind him, probably a notch longer bodied than the one in second. That one may be a little bit heavier structured as well. That one, to me, he's got some muscle shape. I'd like to change him up to the front third of his body, though. He gets a little bit lower set in his shoulder, a little deeper in his chest, a little rounder up there, and what I deem to be ideal. Whether it comes into fourth, it's a good balanced one. It's attractive from the side. He's level in his design. His symmetry is right, and he's good in his shoulder. That one just gets a little deeper in his rib, a little flatter to that rib than what I deem to be ideal, and he's just not near as explosive in terms of shape of muscle as we've seen the ones that go out ahead of him. A long body, level design one that comes in next. One that's a little heavier up through his shoulder and his chest. I think that throws his balance off a little bit. He's really stout at the ground. That one just needs more internal dimension and rib shape as well to be competitive with the ones ahead of him. Congratulations on another outstanding class.
Congratulations, Class 18. Placing 10th in Class 18 was Lydia Norman from Wilkes 4-H. Placing 9th was Emma Ollis from Madison County FFA. Placing 8th was Jessie Stone from Tift 4-H. Placing 7th was Lydia Norman from Wilkes 4-H. Placing 6th was Jessie Stone from Tift 4-H. Placing 5th was Maddie Welch from Wilkes 4-H. Placing 4th was Peyton Adams from Coffee County FFA. Placing 3rd was Annalisa Brown from Clear Creek Middle FFA. Placing 2nd was Kylie Whitworth from Madison County FFA. And your class winner was Benjamin Williams from Gordon 4-H. Entering the ring now is Class 19.
another really, really tough class and a tough decision here in this pair. Tremendously pair of high quality individuals that you all, I really like a lot of things about. I guess what separates them to me is when I study this one that leads off our class. That one is just so bold with the center of his body. One that when you study him at through his chest floor, it's pushed up in him, but he's set so wide in terms of base width. And yet when you study him down his top, he's just explosive in terms of muscle shape. He gets wider as he goes back. Still balance is really neat. Awful good one there. One that comes in second, certainly an awful good one in his own right. That one is just really cuts out a neat silhouette in terms of balance. I love when you set that one in motion in terms of the way he holds himself together, and he's super attractive. One to me, when you just study him in terms of a balance, that he's hard to pick apart. I guess what separates it for me is when I handle him, he doesn't transition quite as neat from his loin edge back to his hip. I don't think he's set as wide through his pin set either, but that's been critical of one. That's awful good as well. That's a really close pair, and I could justify that one either way. So we move into the next weather here that's really long-bodied, and that weather's got some shape and muscle up high. That weather just a little plainer in his look in terms of his way he's shouldered, his chest is laid in him, a little bit weaker in his top line as well. The black-headed weather meets your hand with a tremendous amount of power and shape up on the top side of his skeleton. He just doesn't balance for me. He doesn't match. I'd like to drop him in his flank just a little bit, pick him up and set him wider through his pin. I think if you do that, that changes his balance a little bit, and he gets more competitive in this class. But he's long-bodied and heavy-muscled and heavy-boned. Weather that comes in behind him, I think that's probably the furthest back in terms of his width and center body power in this initial five. He's good looking from the side, and his shoulders laid in him good, and he's corrected to the top side of his hip. That one just needs more power and dimension to be competitive in this class. Really, really deep class. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Congratulations to the exhibitors of Class 19. Placing 10th was Kelsey Hanley from Habersham Central FFA. Placing 9th was Brock Hammond from Washington Wilkes FFA. Placing 8th was Whitney Bears from Wilkes 4-H. Placing 7th was Maggie Luke from Coffee County FFA. Placing 6th was Jacob Adams from Hart County FFA. Placing 5th was Reed Phillips from TIF 4-H. Placing 4th was Jake Harrell from Coffee County FFA. Placing 3rd was Jordan Pritchett from Banks 4-H. Placing 2nd was Kylie Whitworth from Madison County FFA. And your class winner was Shelby Stevenson from Pickens County FFA. Entering the ring now is Class 20.
So get into this class here. Certainly freshness is a premium in here, and I think it's Weather that leads off. I think he's the one that balances the best for me. I think his shoulder's the best, the way he's laid in there. His chest is still up in him. One that's expressive down his top line. He's long to level out of his hip. Still offers good shape and muscle when you sit in and study him from behind. I think he was a relatively easy place to start. Second and third gets a little closer in my mind. Both these Weathers to me are very similar. I think that's see more shape, more power and product than his second place Weather. He's certainly stouter hipped and set wider through his pins. I think he carries it down deeper to the lower part of his leg as well. I think he's more comfortable as he goes off those rear two. Young ladies, third place Weather is one that's tall fronted, and that one's got some shape and muscle up high. I'd certainly like to change that one out through his hip, though. He gets a little steeper there. We could pick him up in his tailhead. He doesn't move quite correct off those rear two as well. The paint Weather that's going to be next, really long-bodied, really thick when you just study him from front to rear. That one's pushing on maybe a hair more cover and what I'd like. That one to me is a little deeper middle, and I'd like to change him in his top line. A lot of that can be said for the Weather behind him. One that's certainly trimmer and a little higher cutability. The one that's shapely in terms of muscle. His balance concerns me, though. He gets a little coarser in the front, gets a rounder out of his hip. I'd like to change him there from that standpoint, and he certainly can get more competitive. Congratulations to these exhibitors.
Congratulations to the exhibitors of Class 20. Placing 10th was Christy Dariso from Colquitt County FFA. Placing 9th was Hannah Morris from Walton 4-H. Placing 8th was Jonathan Smith from Stevens County High FFA. Placing 7th was Walker Berry from Tift 4-H. Placing 6th was Emma Hutto from Coffee County FFA. Placing 5th was Reagan Reynolds from Oconee 4-H. Placing 4th was Allie Corzine from Houston 4-H. Placing 3rd was Kylie Gay, Coffee 4-H. Placing 2nd was Dawson Adams from Coffee County FFA. And placing 1st was Emma Hutto from Coffee County FFA. In the ring now is the Division IV Championship Drive. From Class 16, we have Victoria Wright from Franklin 4-H. From Class 17, we have Tanner Norton from Grady 4-H. From Class 18, we have Benjamin Williams from Gordon 4-H. From Class 19, we have Shelby Stevenson from Pickens County FFA. And from Class 20, we have Emma Hutto from Coffee County FFA. Just a reminder, after the Division IV championship drive, we will announce the Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation Point Circuit Awards.
Let's congratulate these 10 exhibitors here in the ring. Very, very tough division. Certainly the toughest that we've had thus far, and it's certainly no secret. I think the three that it comes down to, and you know, if you, like I said in an earlier class, if you like judging high quality livestock, then this is the chance to do it. And if you enjoy watching it, because not just them three, but all 10 of these out here offer a tremendous amount of good. And you know, I think it really boils down to those three right there on the front side, in the middle, and taking nothing away from the ones on either end. But those three are really in a league of their own, and it's a shame that one of these three is probably not going to get to hang a banner because of you can only pick two. But they're that good and they're that unique. And I will tell you a little bit about what I see in them, and because I think all three of them justify some discussion, and it will deserve a champion in reserve. Talking about the one out of Class 2, that one is really unique in terms of his length of skeleton. One that when you get up on the top side of his skeleton, his mass is so wide and thick. He's probably the biggest racked one of these three when you talk about just width behind his blade. As he goes back, he transitions really smoothly from his loin edge back to his hip. And when you study him from behind, he just offers a lot of width and progression. That one is really unique in some places. You know, is he as heavy structured, as bold maybe as the other two? Maybe not. But that one, when you talk about unique through his front end and top shape and whatever, that one, you know, that one's awful good. The paint that comes out of the middle, as I talked about him, he looked like a show steer, and he still does. That one is stout at the ground. He's big-footed. He's heavy boned. He is so open through the center of his skeleton, and that is just really, really unique. And for me, when you get up there and you handle him, the mass that he offers from loin edge to loin edge and out through the top of his hip and his skeleton is ultra good. I will tell you, if you look at him, as he is maybe as attractive up through his shoulder as the two that stand around him, probably not. But when you get in and you look at him from the side and look at him straight on, his chest floor is still pushed up in him, and he's still loose, smooth and flat in this blade. That one's another good one. The one that comes out of this fourth class here, we talked about, hey, that one won that class, and I think they won it with a close one behind him. That one is just heavy boned. He's heavy structured. He's stout all the way through. That one is bold topped. He's thick ended, and yet to have that, his shoulder's still in him good, and he's pushed up in his chest floor. If I compare him to the two that stand in front of him, is he as level out of his hip? I may want to pick him up in his tail head just a little bit. Maybe not as extended up through that neck as maybe one, but it's just really close. I mean, I think this is a tremendously tough decision. It's a shame that three of these high quality and one's going to get left out of a banner. Tough decision, but I got to come down and do it, and I guess the one that suits me the best, if you'll help me congratulate young man with this paint weather here. He's going to be our champion. Young man here in the orange shirt is going to be reserved. Congratulations.
Congratulations to our Division IV champion, Benjamin Williams from Gordon 4-H. And congratulations to our Division IV Reserve champion, Tanner Norton from Grady 4-H. At this time, we would like to call everyone to the arena for the recognition of the Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation Point Circuit Awards. The Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation wishes to recognize youth that have excelled in the show ring with their showmanship skills and participation. This year's Showmanship Point Circuit ran April 1st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018 and allowed exhibitors to accumulate points from any local, state, or national show. The foundation received more than 125 entries this year. At this time, the GJLF wishes to recognize the top 5 GOAT winners in the junior division. In 5th place, receiving $100, is Tucker Howard of Screven 4-H. In 4th place, receiving $125, is Reagan Reynolds of Oconee 4-H. In 3rd place, receiving $150, is Ben Williams of Gordon 4-H. In 2nd place, receiving $200, is Jake Tucker of Wilkes 4-H. And winning the 2017-18 Junior Division of the Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation GOAT Showmanship Point Circuit is Carly Christian of Franklin 4-H. We are about to announce the winners of the senior division for the GOAT competition, so please make your way to the arena. In 5th place, receiving $100, is Emma Ollis of Madison FFA. In 4th place, receiving $125, is Chase West of Madison FFA. In 3rd place, receiving $150, is Kylie Whitworth of Madison FFA. In second place, receiving $200, is Dusty Jett of South Effingham FFA. And winning the 2017-18 Senior Division of the GJLF Goat Showmanship Point Circuit is Peyton Jackson of Banks FFA. Thank you to everyone that participated this past year. This year's contest is currently running from April 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2019. For more information, visit the Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation website. If you participated in this year's contest and have not received your participation gift, please visit the Georgia Junior Livestock Foundation tent to get your participation t-shirt. Thank you.
What an awesome day of goat showing we've had today. Let's give a round of applause for all the people who have worked the ring and the folks who have put this show together. And once again, let's thank Mr. Brandon Morgan. He's a graduate of Oklahoma State University, and he's given time away from his family and his show stock to be out here and be with us. Let's give him a round of applause, please. I started to get y'all ready to do some clapping and stuff like that. And it's important to me, and it's part of our mission here at the Georgia National Fairgrounds to highlight the agriculture achievements of these kids. So let's make sure as we announce these kids and these families and what it represents, let's make sure that we give them a big send-off as they come in here. Welcome to the final drive of the Georgia National Fair and the Georgia Junior Livestock Show, Junior Market Weather Show. These students represent the best of the breeds that have graced our rings today. They have measured up to the careful evaluation of our judge, Brandon Morgan, and stand once again to compete for the ultimate prize of Grand Champion. These students represent all of their peers who have shown here today. They also represent their families, communities, and chapters. Please stand and join me in welcoming them to the drive. You may be seated. The Georgia National Fair is not possible without the support of our many volunteers and superintendents. Please thank these guys with a round of applause. The Georgia Farm Bureau has partnered with the Georgia Agriculture Exposition Authority to offer premiums to our students who have presented their livestock at the Georgia National. Their support has been awarded to all of our students in showmanship, in class, and in this final drive. Georgia Farm Bureau will be present today with their big checks for our winners. Woody Folsom Trailers and Exus have aligned with the Georgia National Fair to make Exus the official trailer of the Georgia National. The champion today will receive a year lease of a livestock trailer presented by Woody Folsom. The staff at Woody Folsom is here to present this award to our champions. Blue Ribbon Show Supply and Weaver Livestock has offered prizes and awards to our top 5 exhibitors in each junior show here at the Georgia National Fair. Blue Ribbon is here to present the winners with their awards. And now we will parade our champions. The champion from Division I is Mr. Braden Adams. Braden is a 16-year-old son of Bud and Annette Adams. He is in the 11th grade and represents the North Forsyth FFA chapter. His agriculture education advisors, Mr. Martin and Miss Wallace. Braden is exhibiting Steve and has been showing livestock for 8 years. Please join me in celebrating Mr. Braden. Our champion out of Division II is Miss Lily Norton. She is a 15-year-old daughter of Chad and Brandy Norton. She represents the Grady County 4-H chapter, and her agent is Mr. Darren Rayberg. Lily is exhibiting Little Man and has been showing livestock for 7 years now. Please join me in welcoming Miss Lily to the drive. Representing Division III is Miss Rylan Bozeman. She's a 14-year-old daughter of Ted and Sandy Bozeman. She is in the 9th grade and represents the Worth FFA chapter. Her agriculture education advisor is Alan West. She is exhibiting Godwin and has been showing livestock for 10 years now. Please join me in celebrating Miss Bozeman. The champion from Division IV is Mr. Ben Williams. Big Ben is the 13-year-old son of Kip and Trish Williams. He's in the 7th grade and represents the Gordon County 4-H chapter. His agent is Mr. Tim Street, and Ben is exhibiting Lovey and has been showing livestock for 6 years. Please join me in celebrating Mr. Ben Williams. Now we'll bring our reserves. Our reserve from Division I is Miss Naomi McPeak. Naomi is a 7-year-old daughter of Andrew and Julie McPeak. She is in the 2nd grade and represents the Oglethorpe 4-H Club. Her 4-H agent is Jeff Aaron. Naomi is exhibiting Cocoa Thunder and has been showing livestock for 2 years. Please join me in celebrating Miss Naomi. Sally Clark is going to be our reserve from Division II. Sally is the 9-year-old daughter of Jody Clark. She's in the 4th grade and represents the Mitchell 4-H Club. Her agent is Miss Danielle Simmons, and Sally is exhibiting Possum and has been showing livestock for 6 years now. Please join me in celebrating Miss Sally. Our reserve from Division III is Miss Hayden Phillips. Hayden is a 16-year-old daughter of Lee and Jay Phillips. She is in the 11th grade and represents the Tift County 4-H. Her 4-H agent is Mr. Justin Hand, and she's exhibiting Banshee and has been showing livestock for 12 years now. Please join me in celebrating Miss Hayden. Rounding out our drive is our reserve from the heavyweight division is Tanner Norton. Tanner is the 13-year-old son of Clay and Cindy Norton. He's in the 8th grade and represents the Grady 4-H chapter. His agent, Mr. Darren Rayberg. Tanner is exhibiting Little Shawty and has been showing livestock for 8 years. Please join me in celebrating Tanner Norton.
If you will, let's congratulate every kid that come through the ring today. Certainly an awesome experience, for kids out here. Then not just all of them that come to the ring, but these final 8 that get recognized like this and get put in a showcase like they've done. It's a great experience. We do something like this in Oklahoma, and we really try to showcase our kids. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Other than putting your kids in church and learning about the good Lord above, I don't think there's a better way that you can raise them is having these animals in front of them and letting them. Exactly right. We use these animals to raise our kids, and we use them to teach life lessons and life skills that will carry on forever. And at the end of the day, that ultimate prize and that big trophy and everything is very, very important. I was fortunate enough to have some success when I was a kid growing up. But, the parts and the trophies that we won and the monetary things meant nothing in compared to the memories that I've had and the network of friends that I've met over the years. And I think that that's something that maybe we lose sight of, because that's what it's all about. And it's these kids are out here, and I know we all want to win, and I appreciate these kids, the fact that they want to do it. And if you're a student and you walk out that gate right there today and you didn't get what you thought you deserved, you have a right to be disappointed. I don't blame you. If you put in your heart and your soul and your effort to a project, you should be disappointed. You should be disappointed because you've done everything that you possibly can. It's nothing against you. It's just my opinion today, and you can bring 10 other judges in here, and I'm sure that they will line them up differently. But these are the 8 that I chose. But that's all not about the livestock. It's all about the kids, and I hope that we remember that. This is a phenomenal state, and I envy you because of the way that you present your kids, and their courteous, their sportsmanship, and the way they act, and the way they present themselves in the ring. That's second to none. I've had the opportunity to judge some state fairs around those last few weeks and the last few years, and your kids and the way their attitudes and things, it's really, really special to me. So my hat's off to whoever's putting these kids and raising them, and grandparents and parents and ag teachers and extension agents. You're doing a good thing, because these kids are very special, and they're going to grow up to be leaders, and leaders are what we need. Because I'm in a high school every day, and I see kids that are starved for attention and kids that are going down the wrong path, and you're doing the right thing by these kids, and so I certainly appreciate it. I know we got some 5 to go through, and we have tomorrow, and so it's been an honor and a privilege, and every time I get the opportunity to step into a ring, whether it be a county show or a state show like this, I take it with all seriousness, and I try to use my best judgment. I want to give every kid a fair look, and I try to be consistent with what I do. I think out here today is a phenomenal set of goats. I think there's a phenomenal set of goats in the back that didn't make it to this drive. When we come out and select, I think there's a pair of them out here that are man amongst boys. I think they're really powerful. They're really neat. They're really just unique creatures. I think that there's something that's very special. If you'll help me congratulate, there's a pair of them that come out of that last division. They're going to be our champion and our reserve. Congratulations to those.
Congratulations to the overall grand champion, Ben Williams from Gordon County 4-H. Reserve champion from Division 4 also, Tanner Norton from Grady County 4-H. Congratulations to Lily Norton, Grady County 4-H, 3rd overall. Congratulations to Sally Clark, Mitchell 4-H, 4th overall. Who was 5th? Congratulations to Raylan Bozeman, Worth, FFA, 5th overall. Thank you to everyone who came today to the show. We will start in the morning at 8 a.m. The U show in the lower barn will begin at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. for the U show. 8 a.m. in this arena for the Doe show.